Hello everybody, this is 3D Moonn's 3D print of Zatanna that I have built and painted for my good friend Chris. This is a 3D sculpt, again by 3D Moonn, who I think I'm becoming quite a fan of. I'm not a big fan of all 3D sculptors. I tend to think that sometimes they don't put their money where their mouth is, and they don't try to do something different, unique, and challenging. Or sometimes they don't have the physiology knowledge, or sometimes the kits aren't easy to build, they don't work together, they don't go together well. But I'm quite the fan of 3D Moonn now. I've built several of his models for Chris, and I hope that maybe this helps somebody that's thinking of getting one. He does like really big hair, which makes the model, when they're solid pieces, very top heavy. Even this magically produced octopus Lovecraftian thing makes this hat and table quite top heavy. So, since I could not glue them together yet, I actually put some filler in the temporary in the one side of her foot and one side of the table base to make them stand straight. They want to lean outward from each other. So, what you're seeing is not glued down, and I'm not going to touch her or move her because I don't want her to fall. I put way too much time in this thing. But let's talk about it real quick. I'm quite the fan, even though he likes huge hair. As you can see, I've tried to do some technique with this. Now, it's got some sunlight coming in a window, a lamp over my right shoulder, and a fill light from the room over my left shoulder. So, it's got several different light sources that are probably in competition. But this is pretty accurate to the colors. I tried to do this where she has stockings on. She doesn't have fishnets. He did not do fishnets, which I'm a bit grateful for, as fishnets are very hard to paint on. This is 1/6 scale, by the way. 1/6 scale. Let me see. I think I've got a ruler. Then I can show you 6 inches. So there's the scale. She's a pretty good sized figure for Chris. He normally does 8 scale, and they're smaller than this. And when he printed it, he went, "Oh my gosh, she's gigantic." Well, 6 scale is not gigantic for me, and bless his heart, I was kind of enjoying his, excitement. And it also makes it infinitely easier for me to paint details because they're bigger, and these old eyes of mine can see them better. He sends me these smaller figures that are tougher to do. Now, the challenges with her were the whiteness of the shirt, the texture of the vest, the stockings, her hair, which hair is always a challenge for me because I want it to look like hair and look good. And of course, whatever this bloody octopus was going to be, this H.P. Lovecraft creature or whatever it is. And of course, the base. Now, the base was just a solid top. So forgive me, 3D Moonn, but I added a wooden floor texture because she looks like she's on a stage. If we lined up with the beams and then looked at her, she's on a stage looking out going, "Oops, that's not what I planned to conjure," So I've got her on a stage, and the floor was fun. I did a black mixed with purple mixed with a little bit of a metallic just to give this outside edge something, and sprayed it with a matte spray. I used a ochre yellow on I actually scribed the lines in. I used a ruler and scribed the lines and took my Dremel tool and put a few rough wood pattern lines in. Then I painted it all yellow, kind of an orange ochre color. And I used, corny enough, it's called wood grain, and it is a fantastic brown. And I just did washes on that. I just did washes with the wood grain, when very little else. So that's how I did the floor. It just came out. If you know what you're doing with sort of wood patterns, if you've done them, you know to let your right brain go and just kind of paint and don't try to be perfect. Then Chris requested a really nice polished piece of furniture for the table. Now, there's one flaw. The feet on this table aren't nearly as big as they would be to keep the table standing. But it looks good on the model, so who cares? So I did the same thing, except this time I painted the whole thing the yellow ochre, or orange ochre actually, and used wood grain and painted all my wood grain very loosely by hand onto the table. Then several coats of Mr. Gauzy or Gauzy type gloss enhancer. Glossed the crap out of it. I did not gloss the floor. I decided to let there be a contrast. And by the way, that's why her shoes are so shiny. That's that Gauzy. And then I did the octopus. And on this I used a kind of a brown and pink pattern. I wanted it to look like he had layers of skin, like you could see through his skin. So I did some pink patterns and red and all that. And I came back with a really loud multi-shade green. It's like you'd paint a car, you know, these modern cars, they shift the color. So I gave him layers of that, dry brushed that on, and then sprayed it with, or coated it with just layers of Gauzy. With her, again, I told you kind of how I did the stocking. Layers of white mixed with just a little teeny bit of gold on top of a base color for the shirt and the gloves, and for the tie and the vest I added a little more gold to it. Did some shading, did some dry brushing, did metallic buttons, all that sort of thing. Straight black for the coat and the tails, and the underside of the tails, which I don't think you can make out too well here, but the lapel maybe you can. I used a metallic blue in that. Then we got to her face, my usual mix of skin colors. They're all Vallejo. Everything's Vallejo paint. I think I used skin tone dark, skin tone light, a little bit of ivory, two different reds, and of course wood grain brown. I do that because the wood grain mixed with those colors, it takes it away from looking so primary and so bold and orange. Gave her some, reddened cheeks, all the stuff you do with the makeup and everything. You either know how to do that or you don't. I don't know how to. I can't explain all that in one video. But I did the mouth and the eye makeup look and the color of the eyes. The eye color was requested by Chris. He wanted those blue eyes. And then, of course, I wanted it all to look good with the hair, which was a base black with bronze and gold, dry brushing, bringing out some of the details, and a few layers. All this stuff was sprayed, a few layers of things, and really it was fair. I kept it simple. I wanted it effective. I didn't have to be complicated to work. You just got to get in all the nooks and crannies and get all that hair. And I don't airbrush, so that was a lot of hand painting. Not that that's totally unpleasant. So anyway, sorry ladies, that's a bad pun on my part. Forgive me for being a guy that paints pretty girls, but I do enjoy the ladies, painting the ladies. So I'll try not to make silly comments. But she did come out really classy, I think, and I'm really quite proud of her. And I hope Chris is as happy with it as I am as a painter. So 3D Moonn, you batted another one out of the park. Keep them coming, buddy. They're incredible. I hope to meet you one day, and I hope to maybe talk about all this. It'd be really fun. In the meantime, if you enjoyed, please stick a like on this. Subscribe if you have not already. And, of course, comments are always welcome. I don't mind anything. I'll take it as I can take it. I hope you have enjoyed, and we'll see you next video. And until then, don't let the magic act get you.